the super lucky. Welcome to Veloharmony. As we say, you can plan and then life happens. I had a rough night yesterday, just tired, dog tired, crashed, got up at 5. He had a rougher night. Paul usually gets up at 2. When he's running late, we got an issue, so we're all running late today. So we're rolling out. Late is relative because it's still early. But what we're going to do is we're going to change up things a little bit and see, because we may not be able to hook up with a group up front. We may hook up with a group on the back end. Let's go. We can eat on the bike. We're going to have breakfast on the bike because we got to roll out and get the K's in. Oh, you got those shoe covers on? You don't need that.
It rained at his house.
You want to roll back and throw it in?
It didn't rain here. We have thunder showers in the area. We ended up riding on wet roads.
Him down. Paul loves riding the bike so much as he loves breathing, same as I. And so he's a bit anxious that we're behind our normal schedule. But I told him it's our ride. These things happen. When it happens to you, don't stress. If you're late and you're not going to make the group, change up the plan that day. Maybe go to the same route, or maybe drive ahead of the group. Get ready if you know the route, and then hook up with them. Don't get yourself all worked up because the stress and the anxiety is not worth it. You must calm down, my man. We're not late for anything. It's not a job. It's fun. So we're good. We'll find him. Yeah. So he's just a little anxious that he threw us off schedule, and I'm just trying to let him know it happens. I had a rough night. I came home. My wife wanted to go for a walk. And as much as I hated to, I couldn't go for a walk with her. I was dog tired. I had a very busy Friday, and I needed to rest. So I slept from like 8:30 to 5 this morning. That's a lot more than I normally sleep. So I feel good. We find our group and they start messing around, they're gonna be in for a world of hurt.
Just messing around.
Supposedly this weekend is Father's Day. That's why you see all these flags over here. I don't know when the holiday started, but like Mother's Day, I adhere to the mantra: every day is Mother's Day. Every day is Father's Day. You don't need a holiday to tell you that. Appreciate your parents so that your days may be long on this earth and the Lord, the God, give it. Remember that.
Amen.
You listen to your parents, you get a long life because they've already been down the road. Good morning.
Let's get this ride started. On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton. We're running behind. Paul was running behind in the morning. We took Kirkendall, ran into Sterling Ridge. We took Branch Crossing all the way out to 2978. We picked up the group there, ended up being group 2. They were not going very hard, so we rode into Hornia with Paul H. and Laurie. When we got into Montgomery, we didn't stop. We went past Taco Corner on 1097 towards the forest. Once we got to the forest, we took 149 north towards Richards. When we got to Bethel Road, we took Bethel Road south. We came down into the Guerrilla Route area, the Dacres. We took 1486. We bypassed 1486, did Mountain Mire Road. That's all off camera. When we got into Dobbins, we turned on the camera on Jackson Road. Took that in past Karen into Magnolia. Hope you all will enjoy the clips. It was a very pleasant day. We had a lot of rain in the area. We encountered a lot of wet roads. Paul had come with his mud guards and everything, but he took them off, and his shoe covers. But it might have been a good idea to keep the mud guards on because we were a bit messy, but not too bad. Hope you guys enjoy the clips.
We've hit Kirkendall, and because we modified our schedule because of life, we're a little behind our normal schedule. So what we're going to do is we're going to warm up like we usually do, and we'll ride out there and try to hook up with whichever group we come across, regardless. So we're going to go way out in the country and hopefully catch on to a group out there, maybe on the way back. So hope you're getting your K's in, but this is how we do. Let's follow them. All right, great.
at that sky. It's beautiful. I used one of these frames from here to put on Instagram this week. It's a glorious morning. We're rolling east on Kirkendall Road. And I'm triple digiting. Easing the effort up, because even though we're behind, we don't need to change what needs to be done. And at this point, we pretty much are just into the ride. We're not really concerned about time per se. I mean, it's 6:55, so we're probably about maybe 7 to 10 minutes. See that cyclist? He came out of that neighborhood, rolled in front of us, and he was going at a good clip. And since I knew we're not going to be doing 40 kilometers an hour in our warm-up, we just stayed behind him. We didn't try to pass or anything. I mean, we get pretty close, and you'll see. But I don't change our pace. And I'm pointing this out so that you don't feel the need to be passing everybody you come across. He's a very experienced rider. I can tell somewhat just from his style that he knows what he's doing. He's riding a kind of large gear. You know, it seems like he just started it right. Just came out of his neighborhood. So since he's going quickly enough to where we don't need to pass him, because I'm only going to pass somebody if they're going below our pace. I don't need to pick up my pace to pass someone. So we just hold our pace, and you'll see how it develops here. So he knows we're there because he saw us. And he does not really turn around at anything which confirms that he's experienced, because there's no reason for him to be looking behind, you know, like some of the riders that come around and pass you and then start looking behind. So as we get closer to him, I can tell he knows we're there, because in a little while you'll see, in a few kilometers, he will actually start pointing at obstructions as if to say we're drafting him. We're not close enough to draft him. I have no intention of sitting on his wheel. I'm just gauging, because if he had slowed down, I would have just gone by. But at this point, we're doing about 21, 22 miles an hour. I figure that's a good pace. As far as the effort is concerned, I'm not really using speed here, but that's the effort we want to hold. So it brings us within probably a car length and a half of him, something like that. And we just stay there. I'm not drafting him at all, but he can tell we're there. You know, he's riding with nothing in his ears. That's another sign of his experience. So he can hear us. He knows we're there. He's riding a little closer to the curb than I like, because on a road like this, I want to encourage them to use the next lane. So you see where I am. And this is the pace we want to hold. It appears somewhat closer than we actually are. We're not very close, but I think it's the angle. So we're not in his draft by any means. And it's just a sign of class. You don't need to be running around everybody. So if we're going to pass him, it will be because he slows down. And what we're doing probably signals to him that we're experienced. What I really liked about this guy is the only time he turned around was when we were approaching the left turn that you will see in about maybe 200 meters. That's the only time he turned around. He knew we're there. You see me look behind for traffic? We're going to be turning soon. Right around here, I think he turns around to look for traffic. Right there. That's the only time I saw him turn around. But he knew we're there. I could tell because he had pointed at obstacles on the road. It didn't show up on camera because the camera was probably filming me and that blocked his signal. But you can see the kind of distance we kept and we gave him his space, his room. That's what I wanted to point out on this stretch here. And I'm sure he appreciated it.
There you go.
We're chasing, Legends. I don't know if we'll catch him. We're chasing.
At this point, we have spotted some riders. We believe it's the Team RR guys. We're on 2978, aka Sandera at this point, which becomes Fish Creek. And we have been riding hard since we filmed the stretch with that guy on the white bike. And I had just kind of gotten to the front here. My legs were protesting, so I gave them a little bit of a break, and right here they're feeling better. And I decided to drive it right around sweet spot because we've got a long day in the saddle. We see lights in the distance, and they're quite a ways down. In a little while, I will put an arrow on them. But right here, they're not very visible. It's hard to chase when you can't see. It takes a lot of mental strength and determination to chase when you can't see the quarry. But I'm focusing more on driving hard. There, I put the arrow on there. I see riders going down that hill, and that gives me the impetus and a little extra kick of adrenaline, because once you can see the quarry, you don't feel. Look there, we spot them here, and I decided to really give it a stick on this downhill to make up some time, because since it's just the two of us, we can go a little faster down here. When you're in the group, you end up freewheeling and soft pedaling because you're in the proximity of other riders. So here, this gives us an advantage. Just like if we're taking a lot of turns and curves, we would have the advantage in a smaller group. So I started to really putting the effort here. I figure if I keep it above 37 kilometers an hour, we should be able to catch them within a few kilometers. At this point, I'm not aware of their pace, but when we get there, we realize they weren't going as hard. You can see we're drawing them. I can see them clearly at this point, and I'm just driving it now. I'm in a big gear like a 5316 or something, and trying to keep it around 90 RPM. Since I'm trying to sustain the effort, I don't want to spin too much and use up a lot of my aerobic system per se. So I'm using strength here in combination. And we're coming up on it. We come up so quickly, I realize they're not going that hard. And once we catch them, just out of habit, I let our momentum take us where it may in the group. I don't stop at the back. Because a lot of times when we used to compete, when you chase up and you catch a group, if you stop at the back and then somebody attacks from the front, then it strings it out. So a lot of times I'm just used to moving up. They greet us. Paul H is there. So that is Team RR, but it ends up being like Group B. We find out later. A few guys are off the front. We're not aware at this point. But this is the main bunch per se. And it used to happen in races. You chase and you catch up, and there can be somebody up the road and not much you can do about it, but chase again if you really want to get up there and get in the race per se. At this point, we just sit in, we start to drink, we chat a little bit. I edited it for content because really when we caught with these guys, they were not moving. When we caught up here, we realized like, oh, okay. That's why we caught up to them so quickly, but it did not diminish how much effort we had to put in. We're about 7 to 10 minutes behind.
It's all Paul, eh?
Yeah, I saw Paul H.
So we're just chatting here. That's Laurie back there you see on the right. That's Paul H on the left. Those are the 2 riders we end up riding with, because the rest of these guys acted like they were pedaling in mushrooms or whatever. They didn't want to put power to the pedal today. You know, we don't have time. We come out to ride, so we just kept going. You'll see that developing a little bit. We rode with those who wanted to work. But we worked hard to get up here. So we're talking about how, you know, we spaced out the effort and what we did, and Paul and I just chatting. When we got to the group, the reason we moved up is our momentum that we came with took us up there, because they were not really sticking it at the point when we got there. So we didn't spend any extra energy to move up. That's what you want to do. I didn't want to hit the brakes and slow down at the back. So I let it take us where it may, and ended up taking us in 2nd position. So we're just sitting in chatting. That's Laurie there. I had met her 3 weeks ago where I just said, "Hi, Laurie," and kept going. Those of you who've been keeping up with the group rides. But we got to conversate. And she ends up attacking us later. And I mess around with her for a bit, but just playing. When we're actually in the hills on Raven Chapel Road. That's Paul H back there. I'd worked on his fit a while back. There he is standing on the left as the road goes up. I think he carries a bit of a high gear, but maybe that's just his style. Whatever works for him. I've just always liked pedaling a high cadence. Everybody's different. I have a lot of fast twitch naturally, and I just like my legs feeling like they're floating per se. So find what works for you. That's why you train, to get to know your body and what you prefer. So we're doing about what, 17, 18 miles an hour here. A bit slow, and then I edited here for content. We get past about 3 riders here on their TT bikes, but the funny thing is that they will pass us again on 2854, and we don't know when we pass them. But it turns out that we see them when we get near Taco Corner, standing on the corner. And so these same guys are riding around passing people, but then they stop and stand on the corner and do nothing. I'm like, we don't, you know, when we ride, we don't stop. So, you know, to each his own, I guess. We don't stand around when we're out there. We're out there for 5 hours, 6 hours. We want to be on the bike. Come out here to stand around. Because of the construction, we go single file here. And all this debris. You guys are building a second bridge, a second overpass. They need to do more bike-friendly roads instead of just focusing on cars. Now these guys been crawling all the way. As soon as we come to this climb, they start putting force in the pedals. That's what I talk about. They get excited because the road's going up. You know. But Tim loses his chain over there. He shifts back and gets it back in. I think he was trying to go to the small chainring or something. I don't know. Or maybe it over shifted to where it fell off the large chainring. But you got to keep your bike maintained. That's all part of it. You can't just ride them. You got to keep them maintained. So we go past. At this point, this guy starts to slow down, and I just keep riding. I don't like this stopping and going stuff. But watch. He just sits there, freewheeling. I just keep riding. I'm kind of soft pedaling in a way because I just sense, you know, they're not ready to ride. I'm ready to ride here. We already started to ride hard. I want to ride. So I rode through. In a little while, Paul will come by and give me the camera. Look at the sky up there. This is what we've been dealing with today. At Paul's house, it had rained. So when he got to me, he had on rain vest, shoe covers, all of that. That's Laurie there coming up to us.
So Laurie wants to ride. The rest of those guys are feather riding, I call it. They're scared to step on the pedals or something. So Paul gave me the camera there.
Back off a little bit.
I told him to back off. He's pulling at the front. I said, back off a little bit. I'm thinking they want to ride with us. I keep looking to see. And I see Paulish and I see Laurie. I said, everybody's back. So everybody's together here at this point. I asked them in a little bit whether they're going right or left. Paulish didn't care, so I told him, well, we're going left, Capitol Road. You will hear me tell him.
Left on Capitol Road, Paul.
Because going straight will just take you to 105. Look at the storm coming. Look, it's like night. It got dark.
Left on Capitol Road. It's right there. It's right there.
Well, Laurie said she didn't know where Capitol Road was. I told her where it was. You keep looking back because those guys are sitting back there like they're scared to ride.
All right, come over, Paul.
So I checked for traffic, and there's a big enough gap so we can get over because there are a bunch of trucks and other things coming. So this was an opportunity to get over early.
Oh, you're good.
You see how Paul looks smooth on his bike.
I can use the draft.
It starts to fit, and then you got to work at it. Laurie said she was not coming in front of me. She made it clear she wasn't going to work hard today. That's what she said anyway. But she came up on my side there, and then she said, "No, I have no intention of taking the lead." She was
raining at his house
making
this
it
morning,
known.
and not at mine. So we have rain in the area.
We're talking about the weather, the fact that it's raining in different spots. So you can see those guys back there spread out. Like, I don't know what they're doing back there. This is easy. The pace is easy. So, at this point here, I'm just riding. I give Paul the camera.
Brothers in arms.
She said they were calling us twins because we're wearing the same jersey. And so I told her we're brothers in arms.
I briefly said hi to Les on 1488 a few weeks ago.
Exactly, as you guys went by us, like,
well, those guys were leaving us. I couldn't sit the chat.
That's right.
Yeah, Paul he said, this is meet Liz again. I said, yeah, I remember her. I met her briefly 3 weeks ago. Now, in a little bit, Liz is going to do something that I put an arrow here to show you not to do, and or be careful if you do it. She's going to come up on my hip right there. You see, she's overlapping. I know she's there because I've been riding for a long time. A lot of riders may not. There's no reason for her to be there. You see, a car comes up and I move over, but if you notice, I moved over and I moved up. She hesitated thinking I was just going to move over on her. So you need to be careful when you follow people. A lot of people may not be aware that you're there, and they can just come over on you if something changes on the road. So only overlap if somebody knows you're there, or if you're in an echelon. There was no reason for her to do that. There's no wind coming from the left, so that was not necessary. So just be careful. So that's what we mean when we say protect your wheel, protect your front wheel by not putting it in harm's way. So after that occurred, like that, we're messing around. That's when things happen in the group, when everybody's kind of sitting around. I let this driver know we're coming. That way he was sneaking out. Wasn't sure if he could see us. Always got to watch out for those kind of things. But anyway, when everybody's messing around in the group, that's when things happen. So I just kind of lift the pace just a little bit. We're going downhill, so it's easy. At this point, we just need to start riding again. Because when you go hard and then you slow down, it's kind of like, that's the driver that was coming out, the driver that just went by. When you go hard and then you slow down, sometimes your legs act weird. They're like, okay, we're going to go hard, let's go hard. And then sometimes the easy pace seems hard because you're messing around. So we just, at this point, we just want to ride. In a few kilometers, when we turn on Raven Chapel Road, we lose the rest of those guys. So Paul lets me know they're not there, and I just told him, well, they don't want to ride. If you can't ride at 17 miles an hour with us, you know, that's not what we're going to be doing on a flat road. And yeah, I'm not going to be waiting for you. We don't have a commitment to any group. That's why we ride out, we meet people, we keep going. Our plan is to do 6 hours. And if we have company, we do. If we don't, we still ride. You guys know that. So I check it's clear. I let everybody know it's clear.
Clear.
Look at the sky up there, black. We thought we'd run into rain, but it had already rained before we got out there. So the roads end up being wet later in the ride, but we don't get rained on. We had thunder showers the last few days in the area, throughout the day, different parts of town.
So Paulage rolls to the front. Because this jersey is so lightweight, this is the flyweight jersey. It moves around, you know, we got the pockets pretty loaded. It can only do so much. The fabric is kind of light. So I periodically adjust the contents just based on how I want them to feel. It does a decent job, but it's not as tough as the protein jersey that we unveiled a few weeks ago. But it's still perfect for very hot weather.
Hey man, we dropped the group.
Paul said we dropped the group. I'm like, they don't need to be with us if they're not. There they are back there. They just don't want to ride. I ain't got time for that. I told him something like, we are the group. Doesn't matter. This is the group that matters. I think he'll laugh.
Yep. That's okay. Let's go.
They don't want to ride. You're not gonna get strong pedaling like you got feather in your shoes. You gotta push. You're gonna see Laurie push every time the road goes up. That's what makes you strong.
They decide not to ride with us.
So Laurie doesn't play. She comes to ride. She got a good position. Body's very stable on that bike. It's a good setup. I still don't have my glasses on because it's so dark. And with the threatening storm, it's like basically night out here. And so my glasses are on the back of my head. I'll put them on later in the day when the sun comes out. The road goes up here a little bit. I don't know if you can tell. Paulage is really pushing a very big gear. I think he needs to downshift, but like I said earlier, that's probably just the way he likes to ride. It's hard to accelerate when the gear is too large, and you will see that in a little while when Laurie takes off off the front, and he mentions to me that she may not know that we're turning right. And he's about to go right to her, but he's not making a lot of progress. And I go ahead and just spin a little gear and get up to her.
I filmed them being dropped off.
I don't know why he keeps talking about those guys. I lost interest in them. They didn't want to ride. He said he filmed them getting dropped off. I told him, it's like, this is the group that matters. Those guys didn't want to ride. We're not going hard at all. So if they're falling off the pace at this effort, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I saw a group ahead of us. So when we catch up,
I'm telling him that I had talked with Paul H. and he told me that the main guys like Mark and them were up the road. So probably 4 or 5 of them are ahead. We end up seeing them when we get out to 2854. We're on the hill and I see them on the way to the store. They're not that far ahead, but we had no interest in them at that point because we weren't stopping at Taco Corner. We're going to continue our ride. So in a little bit here, Laurie takes off. I think here. She starts to go, and then I tell Paul, uh-oh, something like that. And he's laughing. I check for traffic, decide, okay, I'm not going to chase her, and then I start messing around, and I just sit down, I let her go. I'm not really doing anything there. Just messing around. So Paul comes on my right. I think Paul is just behind him, probably. Laurie's riding the hill. That's how you get strong. You got to ride these hills. She rides the hills and then she sits up. And in a few kilometers, I'm going to mess with her and tell her, it's not over yet. You got 4 more hours left. She's like, no, I don't. I got 3 hours or something like that. And we start to laugh. That's the way you have to think. You can't give it all on one hill if you got a long day. This is where Paul says, I don't think she knows that we're going to turn right. So he starts to go towards, to try to get to her, but I don't see him making a lot of progress, so I ride up to tell her where to turn. You'll see that unfold in a little bit. There. I'm rolling up to her to just let her know that we're going to be turning right at the corner. So we take the turn, and Paul's right here. Paul is just behind him. Because Laurie does those hills and then she backs off. We shared a joke there, talking about different things, and so Paul laughs, and we resume riding again. I'm sitting on the left probably, because this is a slight downhill. You'll see me take the short line and get to the front in that curve right there. You save a lot of energy, just like when you're climbing and you cut across the road. And Paul laughs as I go by. I take the lead. And the pace is just kind of mellow, you know, we're really just enjoying the ride here. Just a nice steady pace. It was cool riding with these two. And we're gonna turn in a little bit. We're gonna get on Mill Route, and you'll see Laurie start going after those little bumps that are on Mill Route. So when I pointed, Laurie made a joke. She said, "Is that a special signal?" I said, "No, Laurie, it's a left turn." So Laurie has a good sense of humor. So I look back just to let everybody get back in after turning.
Yeah. Some of my friends.
It's okay, I kinda like knowing Paul just says, meet us at 7, okay? Expectations. I don't know what we're doing. Bring my debit card, my car key. I even got out of it and reset it up with my other email address.
So you don't always have to be riding to where you can't even talk. So here we're, you know, having a nice conversation as we ride. I'm not sure what we're talking about there. I don't really remember, but Laurie takes the lead here. Every time on this place when the road went up, Laurie will push. This is a nice road to come and do a ride where you want to just work on intervals, because this road has a lot of ups and downs, but they're not super steep or very long, but enough to make you work. So right here it starts to go up and she's pushing here. You know, not super hard. I keep my gears relatively low because the speeds are low, so I can keep my cadence up. This bike has a 36 inner chainring. That's what I'm riding here. 36, probably a 17 or 16 in the back. So I keep my cadence high. This way I can hold a low speed but still stress my aerobic system. There's a car, I don't know if it's here. I think a car is coming in a little while. He's going to be turning into his driveway. But so he comes on our side of the road. I think it's maybe a few kilometers up. The guy running a lawnmower with it. Like he's cutting dust more than anything. As I do this video, the rains have moved into our area, which has kept the temperatures down, but everything's wet. I'm sure the grass is happy. So you will see again that the road goes up over there, a nice slope, and Laurie will push again. So she's getting her workout in. I'm in a little gear. I'll go ahead and stand up. You can see even though I'm standing, my cadence is in the mid-80s. So you can get a workout and not be going very fast. It's not the speed that gives you the workout. And my momentum just takes me past them. They slowed down. I didn't speed up. And that's why I told Laurie, I said, come on, it's not over yet. You got another 4 hours to ride. She's like, 4 hours, there's only 3. We laughed about it. Then she said, it's only 3 more hours. I was giving her a hint. In other words, don't kill yourself here. You got a long day ahead of you. She had been attacking those little bumps, and then she'd back off and sit up a bit, and this and that. So I just pulled through and kept it going. I'm just riding. I'm not paying attention to what they're doing back there. There's some riders on the corner, I believe. Yeah. We're on 2854, headed north. It's a false flat the entire way. I think in a few kilometers, Paul will come to the front here. And I will take the camera. So a guy parked on the side of the road up there. I'm not sure what he's doing, but I'll go ahead and let everybody know. Give him some room, enough to avoid his door. So we did not encounter any actual rain. There were a few drops here and there, but we encountered wet roads once we got into the forest. So it has rained on the north side, and it rained near Paul's home. And while we're out, it rained at our house. So there was rain in the area throughout the day, and the sky just stayed interesting. Look at that sky. A lot of activity. This is where Paul comes by to take the lead, give me a break. I get the camera, and we resume. I still don't have my glasses on because there's a lot of wind, there's turbulent atmosphere, and then it's dark. So my shades would not have been helpful at this point. So I just left them on the back of my head. Okay, these are the same 3 guys, if you'll remember, that passed the group. We don't remember when we passed them, so they must have been standing somewhere again. I said, Paul, I said, these are the same guys that passed the group on Fish Creek. And here they are again. So now you'll see them again in about probably 5 kilometers or so. They will be standing on the corner as we turn right. You know, ride, and stop. I just kind of chuckled, you know, so we laughed about it. That's why you shouldn't be out there following everybody, because some of these guys are not going anywhere. I was having problems right there with the follow mode, and I believe I had to turn the camera off and turn it back on. That's why you saw it flip to the sky, and the gimbal, not the camera, and then the follow mode's working again. I'm not sure what happened there. It's electronics. It's a nice estate. I don't know who owns that. I go by all the time. I think Laurie and them are off our pace. I guess they decided to let us go there. They'll catch back up at the light down the road. They're not that far back, but I just noticed there that they weren't there. And by the time I go ahead and take the lead, when I give it to Paul, I let him know they're not there. You see, you can't see them. Very, very windy here. You can hear and see it. Even though it's ducked down. If you look at my bandana, it's moving around. This entire stretch of the place is exposed. All I focus on is keeping the effort the same. There is no surging going on. We're just riding steadily. So you need to just keep riding. You don't worry about the wind or the climb. You get in the appropriate gear and you ride. You notice I moved into the lane to stop. I don't like to stop on the right at these kind of intersections, because then you're taking yourself out of the lane of traffic. So as you're going straight, you stop where you see me, so that cars that are turning right can turn and they know you're going straight. I think they catch back up here. Yeah, I hear Laurie. She's complaining about the wind. We go through the light. Laurie takes the lead there. Paul follows.
Yeah, we're just doing let's do it.
I was telling Paul that I saw the team RR. There are a few guys ahead of this group. They were up the road just a little bit. I could see them when we're on the downhill because of the elevation. I ride up to Laurie here, and then I see that she's not firing at the pace I'm holding. So I go by and I alert Paul, and then Laurie slots in behind Paul. This is a nice little long, it goes up to probably 3%, but it's always very windy here because it's very exposed. I think this road is called Lonestar Parkway. This takes us into the city of Montgomery, Texas. This area is very popular among cyclists. This is where that Grand Fondo starts, in this area, the RDBC that Paul and I did a few years back. Edited for time here. Those are the three guys that passed us, standing on the corner on the right. Paul wants to know whether we should go straight or right. And we decide to go right, which takes us right by Taco Corner. Just standing on the corner with no purpose. You know, find a better place to stop. You're kind of in the way. And I told Paul that, we laughed about it. I don't come out here to stand around. I'm out here, I'm on my bike. We're riding. Look at the sky. Gray. Turbulent looking. Lori was working back there. You see her breathing through her mouth. She's trying to catch her breath. In a little while, she asked us if we're stopping. And so we told her that you can stop. We're going. And she said, see you guys next time. Great riding with you. Something like that. No, we're not stopping. This is too early in the ride for us to stop. Yeah, we're talking about the ride. So why don't we go to ride on 1097? So we're basically creating our route here. That's what Paul heard. Paul told her, you guys can stop. We're going to keep going. The Team RR boys are up there. The guys that rode away from them. But when they come over here, sometimes they go right back. So they come here to make a decision whether to continue or not. So we're not stopping.
All right.
So we say goodbye here. So sometimes they'll come there and then decide to just head back in.
Legends and super legend, we are approaching Jackson Road. Wrapping us up.
Look how the day has changed. A few hours later, 2 hours later.
Yeah, see.
The sun is out. I got my shades on. We've already ridden on some wet roads in the forest because they had rain there. But the day stayed very mild. Look at the temperature. 26, almost 27 Celsius. It's not even 85. This is like 80, 83 degrees, something like that. For this time of year, that's an incredible temperature. And then it was very, very nice and conducive. Well, I was telling Paul is I'm emptying my bottles because after we get off the Jackson Road, we stop at a store that sells the brisk iced tea. And we found out that the flavor I was calling mango, we'd been getting pineapple, passion fruit it's called. That's what we got this week. But it seems like that's what we've been getting, but I had thought it was mango. They used to have mango. I guess we switched at some point. All of it's all good though, so it hits the spot. Get that sugar in your system on a long ride, gives you the impetus to wrap up your ride. And the store is perfectly placed, about 2 hours from home. So we rode for almost 4 hours before we stopped, since the weather was so nice. Because every time we start our rides, we drink at the beginning as we mount our bikes. And then we have 2 bottles. So when it's very hot, we stop at the 2-hour mark. When it's nicer, we'll push it to 4 hours. We stop only when necessary. This is Jackson Road, headed, I believe, yeah, southeast. There was no avoiding the wind on this Saturday because of the changes in the weather. It was just swirling around most of the day. I think Paul and I will relive for a while, and then towards the end, I just sit up there and finish up as we get out of the Jackson Road area. Right here, he comes by, swings through, and I slip right on his wheel. I put the camera there so you can see. The camera makes it seem further than it is, but we're tight. I'm on his wheel. I'm a few inches off his wheel. So that's why we carry a lot of stuff in our pockets, so we don't have to stop. We eat on the bike, we drink, and then when we run out of provisions in the bottles for the most part, that's when we stop to refill. You can't depend on those little stores out there. I slip back to the front. We're going slightly downhill here. I have my phone in the pocket on the right, and what I did in the security pocket is where I put some of my provisions, because my phone won't fit standing upright in this jersey. So I put my phone in the outer pocket and put the gel on top of the phone, and then my other food packages inside the security pocket so they fit well. You got to make the most of the space. I leave the middle pocket empty because that's where we store the gimbal when we're not filming. The road goes up here, and with that wind, it's a drag. I just settle in and make sure I'm staying on top of my gear. Paul is on my right, so I stay a little to the left so he can have some room. You always want to know where the riders following you are. Either by looking under your arm or tilting your head slightly. Always, regardless of the size of the group, always be aware of where the other riders are. And you're never going to be startled because you know where they are. You got to constantly be paying attention to the dynamics of the peloton. Yes, you and your mate are a peloton. You don't need to have a lot of people to make a peloton. You are a peloton of one when it's just you. We're talking about the temperature. We're blown away by how pleasant it is. Felt like we were riding in San Francisco or somewhere. Been to San Diego before. The weather's very nice. That Pacific Ocean brings those cool breezes. The coastal areas. It's warmer inland, but very pleasant for the most part. California. I used to visit there frequently in the past for business. I haven't been there in a while. I always liked the area. It's just a bit pricey. Everybody wants to live there, and you know why? Because it's just the weather is nice. They don't have the seasons like in other parts of the world, so that's about the only thing you'll miss. But there's some good riding out there. This is a very quiet road, recently paved. Probably less than a year. The pavement probably less than a year old, or just about a year old. Did a good job with it. It's not falling apart yet. It's up and down in here. But even when it's very hot, it's fairly pleasant because of all the trees. It's going up here. I don't do much shifting on this part of the ride. I think I went down one cog there. Sometimes I'll shift and go down 2 cogs at a time. You see, it just jumped to like 2%. That's the thing with these little roads. You'll feel the grade and then it'll pop 2 to 4% before you know it. So you've got to really be aware of the gearing you're using. Look at that road, beautiful. The camera picks up my light like every so often. That light flashes a lot more frequently than that. But it's so fast that the shutter speed here can't keep up. Because I'm looking at it and it makes it seem like the light is off. That light's never off for any appreciable amount of time. Very effective. That's the Dice TL50, I believe. I love the profile. I didn't realize we were doing 31 kilometers an hour through here. It felt slower because all I focused on was using the gearing to accommodate the demands of the terrain. I run the credits here, and after that, finish up the ride into the Cairn area where we hit 149. So as the road goes up, I continue to drive the pedals. I don't let the speeds go down much as far as all the effort go down much. It starts to go up. I'm probably riding a 53.19, which is equivalent to like a 39.14. Maybe a 78 in gear or something like that. The wind's picking up. I thought we were doing like 16 miles an hour through here. This is about almost 18 miles an hour thereabouts. With that wind blowing like it was just blowing. Also on my right, I stay a little to the left, so we're using a little less than half of that lane. Because we're going more south here than southeast, and we're going directly into the wind. Because whatever was going on this morning between the wind from the north and the wind from the south settled finally when the sun came out. And I treat rides like these like I'm climbing, like an all-day climb. You're just driving, you're driving the effort. These are the kind of rides where if you're not fitted properly, your feet start getting numb and so forth. Because there's no let up. And that's what happens when you climb a mountain. You can't rest because the road's going up the whole time. So, you know, use the wind, use what you have in your area. But this is like climbing. I keep my hand on the tops because my breathing is easier, and since the road is undulating, like right here, you see it's going up again. I don't know if it'll register, but I feel it. You see it says 2%, 3%. I don't downshift, I just drive the pedals harder. And that's what we get in this region here, from 0 to say 5%, repeatedly. They sneak up on you when you least expect it, so you must always be conscious of, as Paul says, respecting the road. We approach 149, the intersection here. And this is what we did on Saturday. I hope you all got a chance to get your Ks in. If you didn't, keep your body moving. I'll go ahead and get on the shoulder here. I don't know why that car is sitting there. He could have gone. But keep those doctors fired.